You are listening to the pot.live podcast. I'm your host, Lenny G, and this podcast is going to teach you all about what's happening, what the trends are, the latest news, the thought leaders, the business leaders in the cannabis industry. As this industry moves forward at a rapid pace, everyone needs to adapt. Everyone needs to change to what's going on. And we're going to bring you those guests. What are they doing to make their business successful? What are they doing to get their product out there? How are they getting exposure? How are they dealing with all the changing laws? That's what pot.live is going to be all about. And make sure you visit pot.live, download the app, go to the website, and you will see all of the digital media assets from articles, videos, podcasts, everything. The latest news and trends will all be at pot.live. Thanks for listening. Enjoy the show. This episode is sponsored by MJ.com. MJ.com, the cannabis authority, where you can find the latest news, trends, doctors, dispensaries, and delivery solutions all in one place. You can shop for your latest CBD products. You can get connected with a doctor. You can get a discount prescription card. And most important, you can educate yourself on MJ.com. The Cannabis Authority. Welcome to another episode of the pot.live podcast. I'm your host, Lenny G, and today we have a special guest. We have the CEO and founder of the Bhang brand, and I'm going to let him introduce himself. Scott Van Rixel, welcome to the show. How are you today, sir?
Good. How are you?
Great. Excellent. So I could give you a nice intro and lay it up for you, but I like when the guests actually tell us about themselves. So give us a little couple of minute journey on who you are, what Bhang is. Go for it.
You get to test our humility, right?
No, let that ego fly, my friend. Let it fly.
Well, I can say that Bhang started in 2010. It was founded by a cannabis. He had been in cannabis for quite a while, and myself as a chocolatier. And I didn't really know a lot about the cannabis industry, and he didn't really know a lot about chocolate, but we were able to contribute each other's knowledge and expertise and create, one of the first products that had full product liability insurance, was packaged in a format and labeling that would meet all FDA standards, obviously sans the cannabis, and turn it into what I consider to be one of the most recognized brands in the world for cannabis. And a lot of learning, a lot of mistakes. You know, if you're not making mistakes, you're not trying. And what that has resulted in is a company that not only am I really proud to be part of, but really proud to have founded. And I think that reflects in the pride of our staff and the pride of our loyal consumers.
Beautiful. So tell us, you mentioned you were a chocolatier, and I did read that about you online. So tell everybody, the listeners, what exactly is that? And then if you can morph into how the transition happened when you met your partner, what were the hesitations on your part to get into cannabis, or did you jump in with 2 feet? Tell us about that journey.
I'm a European certified chef de cuisine and a master chocolatier. So a chocolatier, just think of it as a pastry chef is to pastries, and a haute cuisine chef does high quality food. And the chocolatier is just someone whose culinary focus and expertise is on chocolate. So I was really blessed as a chef to have, been brought up under really fantastic hot pastry and chocolate, and the hot food and the chocolate were the two that really piqued my interest, and I was able to excel at. Baking, just I can bake, but it just was never really my cup of tea. Maybe it was the hours, I don't know, but I really was happy in a culinary kitchen and very happy in a chocolate room, and that's kind of what came out as my career developed. My brother and I had a chocolate and gelato factory in Albuquerque. A friend of mine, not the one that I ended up being partners with, but another friend of mine opened one of the first cannabis labs in California, and he invited me out to kind of see the state of cannabis and edibles. And after going on a tour of several dispensaries, I was really dismayed at what A, was considered food, and B, what was considered at that time supposed to be medical grade food. So I went back to Albuquerque. I signed the title over to the company to my brother, and I said, I'm heading west. So my brother at first kind of thought I was joking. And when he came home one day and there was a, moving truck in the driveway, and, it was rough on he and I's friendship and, brotherhood for a while, because he, kind of felt like I was taking a leap and I wasn't thinking. And at the time I was thinking that I've got something that I can bring to the market in a way that I didn't feel that most people could. Edibles at the time were, for the most part, produced as a byproduct of growers, where growers had someone in their group that was a great brownie maker, someone in their group that had a snack mix or a butter that they made. And they, it wasn't really at that point had gone to where there was food people bringing cannabis into their kitchens as another ingredient, as opposed to cannabis people trying to figure out high quality food production. And that's as equally difficult as it would be for me to navigate learning how to grow. I think that it was equally difficult to not just have a great recipe, and there was a lot of them. I mean, make no mistake, there was a lot of great tasting edibles in the marketplace, but what they lacked was the ability to be reproduced consistently with high quality in a safe production manner. And that's where Bhang really was able to shine, is I was able to bring that food expertise and food experience to the cannabis space and be successful at it, and have a brand that kind of led the way for raising the bar on insurance, packaging, consistency, safety, quality, all those things that really paved the way for people to get comfortable with edibles. Because the fear at that time was always, you didn't know what you were getting. You didn't know whether one bite of the brownie corner versus the other corner was going to have the same effect. And we kind of led the way to show that it has to be consistent. And every time someone buys a product off the shelf, the experience that they have the first time, second time, third time should fall in line with a not only regulated and consistent, but accurate amount of milligrams of THC. So that's kind of the short synopsis of why we were able to be successful, tied into kind of what my food history was. And then what I believe is, one of the legacies that we leave to the cannabis space, was really being that first benchmark product that was done in a commercial format.
Yeah, I think you hit on one of the major concerns of the industry, whether it's CBD or THC products, is that consistency. There's everyone, right. Every mom and pop has opened a CBD brand or CBD store, and consumers are buying it, and they're not educated on this space yet because it's so new as far as mainstream goes, and they don't know what they're buying. So for you to be a pioneer of consistency is pretty special. So you should be proud of that for sure.
Right, and it's sad that the same issues in cannabis in its early days are manifesting themselves in a different way with CBD. So back when people would buy cannabis products, if there wasn't enough THC in there, they knew it. They would let they would let people know it. They would say, this thing sucks, I didn't get high. And that was kind of the standard of having a quality product. CBD has got a much less noticeable and immediate effect on the body. And that's left people producing products and putting products out in the marketplace that don't test properly, aren't manufactured properly. They're adding melatonin to products simply because they have CBD, because they think that if people feel sleepy, they're going to think the CBD is working. And that is an enormous disservice to not only the consumer, but to our industry. So, having melatonin in a product that's specifically marketed for sleep is, that's a fair and reasonable use of that nutraceutical compound. But simply putting CBD in as part of just the CBD product and telling people, oh, that's how you know it's working, is you get this chilled, sleepy thing. That's selling people on the effect of melatonin, not on the effects of CBD. So we've really been careful on our marketing. We've really been careful on our laboratory testing. We've tried to use lots of labs to validate, because like the cannabis space and the CBD space, the lab space is still refining and developing. They haven't had the time to grow the marquee national laboratories that are testing for Unilever and Dryers and all these kinds of, and Sigma Chemical and all these companies. They won't handle our products. So the new people in the new labs coming in are still refining their processes. And the more they refine their processes, the more consistent us as producers are able to produce. And I think that that's a service to the consumer. Is there's a lot of people at a lot of levels working to produce great, high quality, safe products. And as that happens, those bad actors will continue to get weeded out. With no pun intended.
Correct. I agree with literally everything you just said. And that's going to be a huge part of everything going fully mainstream is the trust factor and knowing that the products that people are buying are legitimate. So when you started the Bhang product line, how did you sell it? Did you go straight online? Did you go brick and mortar? Did you have any hurdles there?
The CBD or the THC?
Either, just anything in your product line. Either way.
Well, THC products was in California, and there was good old fashioned door to door knocking on dispensary doors. And the first, the little bit comical part of us coming into the marketplace was the first month was really difficult, where I was like, oh my God, what did I do? I left my brother, I left, my home, all these things that come out here. Was you had this clean cut, high and tight haircut, or shaven in sports coats, or suit, knocking on people's doors with this type of product that people had never seen before. The idea of a fully compliant packaging was completely foreign to most dispensaries. For the first month, I damn sure the first time I ever talked to everyone, they thought I was a cop.
Yeah, I bet.
It was just, this is clearly a setup. I mean, the DEA is really reaching here, sending this guy in here with this package. Do they really actually think anyone's going to fall for this? But that went away quick when they realized that, the places that were buying were moving a lot of our bars. They were really happy with the products, and the dispensaries felt confident representing our products because they sold well, they sold efficiently, and consumers were coming back. And these were medical patients. There was the 22-year-old, my back hurts, but we were selling in areas of San Francisco and areas of Berkeley that had high populations of cancer patients and AIDS patients and people that really counted on safe, consistent medicine to help them through their struggles of their afflictions. And I'm really proud of that. And again, that goes back to that doing things right is the right thing to do. And we could have came to market earlier, but we didn't have the testing down yet. We could have come earlier, but we didn't have insurance yet. When I was telling dispensaries we have full product liability insurance, it was generally met with, what's that? And by the following year, they were mandating that their vendors had that. They were mandating the laboratory testing that we were doing. They were mandating the same quality of packaging and labeling that we had. And while all that's happening, we had to fight against certain levels of ignorance within government. And as an example, was San Francisco banned Bhang bars for like a 2-month period of time because we had a nutrition fact panel on our box. And they said, well, that makes people think that it's food. And my argument was, adding cannabis doesn't make it not food. You have patients who have all different things going on in their lives. They need to know the fat, the calories. I mean, this is basic information. So, round and round and round, and the dispensaries were giving the city health department a hard time because they're like, our customers are leaving to go across the bay to buy a Bhang bar because you banned Bhang. And we finally came to a settlement of sorts where I get to put the nutrition fact panel on and the ingredient list, but we had to stamp, this is not food, across the front of our package. And, it's being able to dig your heels in, but find a solution, because, you can dig your heels in and say, nope, not doing it. But then you're denying patients who love your product and consumers who love your product out of spite. And I think that, again, the success of Bhang has been that we've figured out how to kind of bob and weave through being in several states with different regulations and different packaging requirements. Kudos to our COO, Jamie. She really is focused on coordinating with licensees now. She has to deal with 10 different sets of regulations, 10 different needs, 10 different, packaging reviews, and has done a really great job of maintaining our strength in the marketplace by being flexible, by being true to the brand and by hearing what is needed and figuring out a way to get it done.
And that's the great advice. So for the business owners out there listening, everyone's trying to, start a brand, but listen to what Scott said. He did it the right way. They fought through some adversity. They believed in their brand and they became successful. So Scott, after you had those initial hiccups and you got through, then I assume it was time to scale. Your brand was winning awards. Your brand was getting recognition. When did you branch out from California, and in what markets are you in now around the country or internationally?
So our brand branched, but we as a company didn't. We consulted with a lot of attorneys. The advice was, do not go do this yourself in multiple states. You're looking at, cannabis money moving across state lines to a centralized location. You're looking at RICO issues. So we opted for a licensing program where we would license already state licensed producers to use our brand and produce our products, and then they would pay a royalty to Bhang. And what that allowed us to do is expand rapidly, have our brand represented throughout the country, and let us focus on, again, brand development rather than operating manufacturing in each of those individual states. Our products are represented in Florida, Illinois, Michigan, Ohio, New Mexico, California. We finalized a new agreement for Nevada recently, Puerto Rico, and that's on the THC side. And CBD is, available nationwide, sans a few states that have very restrictive CBD rules.
Great, excellent. So congrats to you.
And actually, as per our last announcement, also available in Europe as well.
Yes, I did see that news release. So that's what I was going to get to. So you were a private company. When did you make the decision to go public? And I know you recently went public. And how was that process for you, to give some tips to those people out there that may have private companies thinking of either rolling up or going public?
We started the process a little over a year ago. We'll just say 14 months. And we went public 3 weeks ago. I can say it was long. It was a lot of work. When people say it's a lot of work and you go, yeah, it's okay, I've been working hard my whole life, that should be heeded and listening to, because it's a lot of work. Audits are always frustrating because you feel like I've done everything I need to, and then the auditor goes, well, yes, and I need this, and this. And it's a learning curve. And that's something that anytime you go through that new experience, it's going to be difficult. Nothing new is easy. But I'm glad we did it. I'm glad that we can have the millions of Bhang consumers have the ability to become Bhang partners and share in being a part of our company. It's something that is another milestone for Bhang. And I think that it will continue to allow us to grow as we have in the past and expedite that growth over the next couple of years into, international markets and additional markets within the U.S.
Beautiful. Well, congrats on going public. And I know the ticker is BHNG. Is that correct?
Yeah, BHNG. It's on the CSE in Canada. And we, are in process of doing all of our U.S. side listing through OTC as well.
Great. And I saw some favorable stories about your company and about the balance sheet. Has a favorable balance sheet for you. So that's great news for investors. So tell everybody, how can people out there either get in touch with you or your team or find the Bhang product line online? What's the best way for them to connect with your company?
To learn about our products, bangnation.com is that's our core website for not only information about Bhang for investors, but Bhang's product lineup. And then there's a click point to where you can purchase our CBD and terpene products nationwide, sans a few states.
Excellent. Excellent. So before we wrap up, Scott, and thank you again for the time. Appreciate it very much. Give us
Thank you.
Give us one thing you're excited about the cannabis industry and one thing that concerns you.
Concern is bad actors are always a concern, and because it reflects poorly on the industry as a whole. If when Coca-Cola or Pepsi had some issue with production or some issue with one of their sodas, it didn't take a huge toll on the soda industry as a whole. People didn't suddenly get uncomfortable buying soda. The CBD space and the cannabis space, when a bad actor acts poorly, it reflects poorly on the industry as a whole. And that's always a concern, because you kind of get regulators who are just starting to get comfortable suddenly take 3 steps back, and investors who are just starting to get comfortable take 3 steps back. So that's kind of a concern. It's going to take time to weed out poor or bad actors, but I'm confident that, our brand really has always stood for something, and people continue to have that trust in Bhang, and we're not going to be subject to as, let's say, heavy as a penalty in the marketplace as a reflection of other people's bad behavior. But as it applies to the industry as a whole, I feel bad that there's young entrepreneurs, or old entrepreneurs for that matter, who are just getting started, who they'll bear the brunt of those bad actors. And I would hate for the market to miss out on the next great idea simply because it never made it to the shelf, because they couldn't weather that, down pressure from bad actors. But I'm confident that good entrepreneurs with good ideas always find a way to make it work, as Bhang did, starting out very, very simply. We started the company with very, very little, and have been able to grow it. And I encourage those young entrepreneurs to keep coming into the marketplace and seek the counsel of good mentors, whether they're business people in general or, people that have been successful in the space. Take the time, make the time to go get good research. And my wish is that the leaders of industry would make that time for those young entrepreneurs and those people that are, taking a risk to be an entrepreneur in our space, because that's really what's going to push this industry forward. What am I hopeful for?
What excites you about the industry?
What excites me? I think that the ongoing product ranges and the same thing that worries me is what excites me is those entrepreneurs. There's a young me somewhere out there that has some expertise in a field that is going to come into the space and do fantastic. And the other thing that really excites me about this space is the opportunity for women to really have an equal footing. If you look at most other industries, it's a boys' club, and it's in many cases difficult for a woman to achieve a level of equality that men have. Not that they shouldn't be there, it's just there's this long history of that not happening. The cannabis space is a space where I see it's a great opportunity. I always tease it's a female plant, so they've already got the blessing from the plant to be exceptional in this field. And, and I've tried to do, I can't become a woman, but I've done my best to put the best women in the highest level of positions in our company. Our COO is a woman. We have a good portion of our C-level staff as women. I've really tried to support that and be a part of that. And, I have a daughter, and I think that that's the right thing for her dad to do, is to make sure that there's an industry that's ready for her when she's old enough to be part of it. And doing that now means empowering women. Jamie was just elected, or whatever you call it, awarded as one of High Time's most influential women in cannabis. It's a really proud moment for me as the CEO, and it's a really proud moment for me as someone from the industry that the women are starting to be recognized. So that's kind of 2 things I'm excited about, is seeing what young ladies of the world are going to come out and do for our industry. And it's exciting for me to know that our company is already doing that to support that.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I, as the father of 2 teenage entrepreneur daughters, I second all of that, what you just said. That's a great story. Everything you told us has been a great story. Scott Van Rixel, thank you so much. Everybody check out Bhang, and we will see you next time on the pot.live podcast. Pot.live is your destination online and the app. Yep, you can download it right now. All your digital media content, articles, podcasts, videos, memes, comedy, education, all of it found on pot.live.